Welcome to the KIMIYA Healing Podcast. This podcast is going to help you to work with resistance that may come up, particularly when you're doing deep healing work or deep trauma work, where it's very natural for you to meet aspects that you resist within yourself. And these can be emotional resistances, it can be resistance to acknowledging psychologically any self-limiting beliefs that you're holding. It can also be resistance that you're holding in your body to try to protect yourself against certain sensations. So it's really important to recognize, first of all, that resistance is a natural part of the healing process. And often we battle our resistance, or we try to really untangle it with the mind, and we forget that resistance is a very powerful indicator. It's like a sign and an opportunity for us to actually go into certain areas. And by working with resistance, it can help us to do that. It can help us to deepen our own healing, get in contact with difficult aspects of our experience, and uncover inherently a deeper inner balance. So resistance, when it shows up, can be, as I said, emotional, physiological, psychological, can also be energetic. And resistance patterns that are held in the body will always be held with certain energy, and usually this energy is beneficial to us and is benevolent. But until we allow ourselves to uncover, until we allow ourselves to express, what we find is that we don't actually release this energy, we don't use this energy, we're busy trying to contain it. So usually resistance is a containment, and it's really important for us to recognize that as we are encountering opportunities to release, we're actually also allowing ourselves to tune into and access a deeper stream of energetic consciousness within us, and we can use that energy for anything that we desire. So in my practice, when I work with clients and there is deep resistance that's coming in for them, what I will typically invite them to do is what I'm going to share with you as a practice. And the only thing you'll need is a quiet space, some willingness to explore, maybe some radical honesty, and a pen and a paper. The first thing that I'd invite you to do is to notice how resistance shows up in your body. And this can be patterns of tension, it can be numbing, it can be structural issues or patterns of contraction. It can also be pain. If you can write down on this piece of paper what you're aware of in your body, and also what you're aware of emotionally, how resistance shows up for you, that will be a really great start. The next thing to do is to explore, and what you're exploring here is how this resistance is serving you, what it's giving you, and then we're going to go into what it's actually taking away from you and how it's preventing you from what you really desire. As you draw up this list and you start to explore what this pattern of resistance is actually preventing you from and what it's getting in your way, what is getting in your way, what the kind of things that tend to come up that I've noticed are resistance that actually is a protective force. So in that sense, a lot of the time resistance is trying to protect us from something, and in the process it actually keeps us away from what we truly want. So make a list of what this resistance is preventing you from doing. So you might say, I'm noticing a resistance in my throat. And the way I notice that is that my throat feels heavy, my throat feels blocked, or I feel like there's a twisting, maybe in my neck. I'm noticing resistance in my voice. And then exploring, what does this give you? It's always giving you something. and it's giving you something that you feel you need, but maybe that need can be met in a way that's more beneficial, more balanced, more healthy for you. So you could say, okay, I'm noticing this resistance, maybe in my throat or elsewhere in your body, and it actually prevents me from fully expressing myself. It prevents me from speaking up when I need to. It prevents me from breathing deeply. It prevents me from so many different things, and just write them all down. And then you're going to ask yourself, well, what does this give me? And it's going to require some radical honesty. So what does not fully expressing yourself, what does not breathing deeply, what do all these processes actually give you? So taking yourself out of your identity for a few moments to just reflect on what it could be that you're getting from this pattern of resistance. You might find that actually not expressing yourself helps you to feel a sense of belonging with the people that you're around. It helps you to feel less judged, perhaps. Maybe it helps you to feel connected to somebody, or makes you feel like you are accepted. So all these things will come up as you explore what resistance is giving you. When you start to do this analysis and you start to reflect on what your patterns of resistance give you and what they take away from you, you're actually going into a place of understanding your own fears and understanding the areas where you can love yourself deeper and meet yourself deeper in a way that's less distorted, in a way that takes away less from you and actually gives you more of what you inherently are. So drawing up this list and seeing what you're receiving and actually what you're preventing yourself from receiving can be very powerful to help you reevaluate, at least at a mental level, and from there you want to go back into your body. So once you've become aware of, okay, this is helping me to, for example, feel less judged because I don't express my truth, and therefore I get to stay safe because I don't feel judged. Then it's time to go deeper and understand, how have you created this pattern over time? And why have you created this pattern over time? When was the first time, for example, that you maybe found yourself really expressing yourself and you were judged? When did you feel that feeling? When did you notice your body responding to that feeling? Often resistance is unconscious, and these patterns are not readily available for us to examine until we go deeper into ourselves and deeper into our shadow. So allowing ourselves to do this on a regular basis, to evaluate how we meet ourselves within and how deeply we allow ourselves to be who we are, is a very powerful practice. And yes, it will bring up certain memories, and those can be held with compassion and intention, because as these memories arise, they're not just coming up to disturb you or to frighten you. They're coming up because they hold a lot of wisdom for you to tap into. So I use this practice with my clients to support them to uncover unconscious fears that are leading to patterns of resistance within their body, within their health, within their mental health, and to make some choices. Now, the power of this practice that leads to choice is that often we feel like we have no choice when it comes to the way that we behave, the way that we think, the way that we feel. And if we are led to feel that we have no choice, if we consistently create experiences based on these patterns of resistance that then reflect back at us a feeling of lack of choice or lack of empowerment, over time, we actually gradually can feel more and more contained and less empowered. So this is a way for us to get back on track and to reconnect with a tool that can help us to arrive again in a place of choice, to start to make new choices. And then I would recommend you take one aspect that's come up from this, and it may be a sensation combined with an emotion, combined with a memory, combined with a belief system. Once you've got this, I call it like a chain. And it's a chain because there's energy in every aspect of this at all levels. And when you start to move the chain, when you start to move one belief system, the emotions will change and the body will respond. So starting to become a bit more fluid with the chains will allow you to inherently access a sense of choice and empowerment. And often the reason why we feel stuck or we feel held back by something or chained in, contained, is because we haven't yet gone through this process of recognizing how we are creating our own resistance. And energetically, resistance, as I said, holds a lot of energy, it holds a lot of potential. And going in and freeing ourselves and feeling will allow the release of this energy. And as it releases, it brings through a new stream of consciousness. This new stream of consciousness is inherently going to be higher frequency because you've now faced the fear. And the deeper you feel, the deeper you are facing this fear. And so the stream of consciousness is a higher frequency because it's going to be more of a love-based frequency. It's going to be more free. It's going to be enabling rather than disabling. And I recommend, especially if you're experiencing persistent injuries or a chronic illness or a situation or circumstance where you're feeling very stuck in it, I recommend you to try this practice and examine your resistance and your self-limiting beliefs. And notice as well, if you start doing this and you leave it halfway through, or if you can only get into the body level, you can only work with the physical level of resistance, and you're unable to name or identify any of the emotional resistance that goes along with that. So noticing as you do this, if you are actually resisting even the process of doing this and why that might be. So what does it give you to not do this practice, i.e. gets you to stay where you are, which makes you feel a certain way? And what does it take away? What does not doing this practice, what does it actually take away from you? So treat this like a little exploration. Don't hold too much expectation. And yes, treat it like an experiment. And I've got a podcast on experimenting without expectation. And it's very important to do that for those of us who are doing inner work, to really recognize that sometimes we hold an expectation that a particular practice needs to look a certain way or feel a certain way, and we kind of contain the experience without even realizing. And when we open up and we say, actually, there is no expectation, I'm open to the mystery, I'm open to being shown something new, something deeper, we can enliven ourselves, we can find new ways, find new aspects of ourselves, new ways of being. So, as I said, you won't need very much for this, just a few minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes. Create one chain, recognizing the physical, emotional, psychological, and energetic chain that you have in place of resistance. And it's sort of a cost-benefit analysis, evaluating what it's giving you, what it's taking away from you, and how can you make a new choice.